Something to remember. Here you go again, she said, eyeing the raggedy set of bungalows, dragging me into God only knows where. Weeds growing in the front yard said, renters live here. Just like in our house. A car with the hood off was up and milk crates in the driveway leading to the back. It was a good bet that there was an abandoned washing machine in the backyard. It's Arnold's house, baby, I said. You know, our drummer. It's not just any old where. It's a family thing. A barbecue. It looks just like Hogwaw Junction, she said. We both laughed. Right next to Chill and Switch, I said. I love making her giggle. At the door, there was that usual uncomfortable feeling you get when you look into a room full of people you don't know. But my saxophone case gave me entree, and it helped that I had a woman with me. Hi, I'm Henry, I said. This is Cheryl. Hi, I'm Shirley, the large woman in the doorway said, grinning at my wife. Come on in, girl. You practically got my name. Arnold and all them's in the backyard setting up, Henry. She turned around, and this took a long time, as much as she had to move to do it. She was Arnold's sister, all right. The living room walls sported black light posters of heroically posed brothers and foxy sisters. The usual shrine in the corner to JFK, Dr. King, but not Malcolm. White Jesus, and yep, the unnameable plaster thing is a dining room table centerpiece. There was a familiar blend of smells, boiling guts, greens, a trace of this morning's fried hair. Home. This is Henry and Cheryl, everybody, Shirley shouted over the loud phonograph. People waved and introduced themselves, but I couldn't hear a thing over Sly and the Family Stone. I guess it tells you about when this was. A large man who looked like a future Arnold reluctantly glanced up from his full, sagging paper plate and grinned. He had to be family too, big as he was. Plenty of food, man, help yourself, he shouted, and dove back into his potato salad. The nearby woman smiled at me, pointed to my saxophone and mimicked me playing it. I didn't have to look to see Cheryl was glaring at her, letting her know who was with who. I held up my saxophone case and indicated I was going to the backyard. Yep, there indeed was a motorless washing machine. Chester was using it as a table for his food and drink. He was noodling on his guitar. I could tell he had just started because I could still see the gap between his front teeth. When he'd really start hitting it, his tongue would slip out and cover the gap. He looked up and smiled. Here's the reed man. The other band members looked up and greeted me. Clarence from fooling with his amps and Arnold from setting up his hi-hat. Hey, what's happening? My man, you're going to have to play that thing today, boy. We got to turn this place out. This is family. And I can't play shit, I thought, inwardly shuddering at the thought of having everybody turn to me and start comping behind a solo I couldn't pull off. And still my public yet. In fact, I'm going to have a drink right now. I don't like the plastic bottles that taste just like that. Chester looked all right, but Clarence looked preoccupied. I could tell he'd been drinking, probably behind his own nerves. Arnold was always closed to me. Maybe he'd open up this time. I tried to break through with a smile. Arnold looked like he was getting his head half bad already, and the party hadn't half started. Here, man, you gotta let it catch enough to do, he said, and he got me a drink amidst all the handshaking and setting up. Handshaking took a long time back then. Arnold watched me take a taste. God dang, Arnold, I exclaimed, gasping, making a face at the drink. Everybody laughed. It's got alcohol in it, he said. I know that, but damn. No, man, he means alcohol, Clarence laughed. Arnold works in a hospital. Oh. I got a buzz on right away, and things started blurring around right there. I remember shooting a blank at my first so-called solo in Proud Mary, and Chester looked over at me. He was always a rock I could lean on during moments of terror when I ran out of ideas. Well, it's confidence that counts in music, like in everything else, like reading. Chester pulled me aside as we entered another number. Let's make a run, man. Who was he signifying? Oh. We went out to Chester's car and he fired one up and passed it to me. We got to respect Arnold's house, man. He croaked, holding in the smoke as he talked. His sister sang in the choir. After a while, I felt inspired, and we went back and played some more. I'm sure I didn't play any better physically, but like I say, it's all about confidence. Whatever works. At the raggedy end of Black Night, Chester took a pull from his own bottle, then passed it to me. Are you rippling? Clarence chanted from the commercial, guffawing with his country self. He got in a good bass line, and we all fell in behind. Chester laid it down right on top of him and really started cooking, his tongue sliding out and sweat popping off his face. Arnold got that stiff-faced look drummers get when you lock in, and folks piled out of the house and started dancing. A neighbor pulled on his shirt and came out in his backyard and pretended he was there to pull some collard leaves. Oh yeah, we were smoking. Cheryl was late in leaving the house. Musicians, women never know what to do with themselves during a set, they get that crazy. And Arnold saluted her with the drum roll when she stepped on the back porch. He'd never seen her before, and now I felt like making my own little move to show who was with who. But I had my stupid $8 saxophone in my hands, rubber bands substituting for springs. Oh, get down, homeboy, get down, Clarence said to Chester when he hit a good bippity-bippity-bippity country lick. Get down. Maybe blurs over around here. I drank some more just to make sure I wouldn't tighten up again with my old fear of performing. I remember asking Arnold something that was bothering me. Don't people go blind drinking rubbing alcohol? Oh, this ain't rubbing alcohol, man. This is drain alcohol. I drink it all the time at work. It just satisfied me for some reason. And I finally found my way during good old honky tonk. And then I was all right for a while. But I can't play all that much sax quite as this kid, and I was glad everybody was getting stoned and the guitars were covering me up. I ate too late to coat my stomach, but I still never caught up with the other band members who finally fell out for good. The alcohol made us all get real loose, and we had a good time. I don't remember saying goodbye, but we were suddenly at the car, and Cheryl said, I don't like these people. What you mean? We had a nice time, didn't we? Then Arnold, he grabbed me. I put the sax inside the car. What you mean, grabbed me? He grabbed me in the garage. He said he wanted to show me something, and then he grabbed me. Let's get out of here. I want to go home. I shook my head, trying to clear it. I was supposed to do something. A man doesn't just take shit like that. He's supposed to do something, protect. I ran around to the driver's side and grabbed a solid iron construction bar from under the seat I had there for protection and headed for the house. I confronted Arnold alone in his garage, drink in his hand. What'd you try to do with my wife? I asked him. He looked at the iron bar. Wife? What you talking about, man? I didn't do nothing. I abruptly half sobered up. I had a lethal weapon in my hand. Arnold weighed 320 pounds. And it wouldn't do to make him mad. Talk about push coming to shove. It was either pound in Arnold's skull and kill him, or just tap him and make him mad, and then he'd beat me to death. Sure, the former choice is better than the latter. But what was it really about? What had he really done? And what then should I do about it? I flashed on a lifetime of hearing street corner philosophers say, you shouldn't draw a weapon unless you intended to use it. And look at me now, I thought. I'd really fucked up. What was I doing? In my confused state, I went back to the car to ask Cheryl what had really gone down. The first blow landed at the back of my head as I faced her. As I lay in the gutter, I saw Arnold's brothers rush up and push Arnold aside to save me, I gratefully thought, only to find they wanted him to save some of me for them, and then their shoes were in my face. Arnold's sister Shirley joined in, shrieking as she kicked me, and they had upwards of 1,000 pounds of Arnold folk kicking the living shit out of me as I lay with my head in the V-wedge between the open car door and the car chassis. My head was like a duck in a shooting gallery, bobbing up and then getting knocked down with a new kick. Before I could rise, I was lucky there were so many of them, I now realize, as there was a traffic jam of leather in front of my face from all their shoes. It's funny about lives. Once you're hit, bloody, you lose all fear. I could fight Arnold, his brothers, his sister, play that saxophone in an auditorium full of people. I didn't care. And so when Cheryl jumped on Arnold's back and clawed at him, I jumped to my feet, believe it or not, and got it one good lick. What did I do that for? Nature's merciful. As your aging face sags and wrinkles, your eyes go into soft focus with compensating astigmatism. And once you're hit good, your body says, all right, I got to it. And it shuts down the pain passageways for a while. You go into blessed numbing shock. And so I remember the next part, even today, with a certain detachment. Seeing my young self as if in a fight in a cartoon strip dust cloud. The blows an illusion. The fists and feet kept on and on. And it was like being tumbled in the surf, being tumbled by this Arnold family wave. And then somehow we were miles away. And I was driving, and I didn't know how I got there. Cheryl was crying next to me, and I tasted my own salty blood in place of tears. And I wondered if it would ever be the same between us, and if I should have used that iron bar after all. But in my heart, I knew that I'd still rather be the fool who did not use the weapon than the fool who did. I still can't say exactly what I learned then. It's still hard to face the fact that it wasn't Cheryl I was out to protect. I suppose I did learn something about avoiding trouble and fucking up in general, I don't know. All I know is that it was an ass whipping to remember.